All right, this is something that I have had to learn the hard way, and that is that if you are trying to escape the rat race or become an entrepreneur, start a business, you want to take a bet on yourself, you take the risk like all of the gurus tell you. You take the bet on yourself like everyone suggests, and I support these things, frankly. However, if you don't calculate it, you can end up in trouble, which I have a bunch of times. And by trouble, I mean financially. And it can spread into other areas of your life because of the financial pressures or stress that you put yourself under. So, one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the last few years, having done a few summers worth of door to door sales and doing well at it, as well as having a couple businesses that I had to close down for a couple different reasons. I actually started this channel to document my first business process a couple years ago. And the thing I regret the most, here are the two suggestions I have for you. If you are someone hoping to do what the whole craze is nowadays and get out of the rat race, own your time and have freedom, true freedom over what you do every day. If you're going to start a business, and you want to go all in, which I support, make sure you have 6 months to a year or more of everything covered in your expenses. So if your expenses minimum are $2,000 a month, you better have $12,000 to $24,000 saved up. And not only that, that's money you don't touch for the business. That's just your expenses. It's likely you're going to have to spend money for the business. So you actually better know what you're doing and have cash flow and lead flow already, so that when you start the business, you're not spending all of your living expenses money to get the business up and running, because you're taking a risk, you're taking a bet. And if you're like me, when I started my first business, and maybe even my second business, was mostly because I chose the wrong partner. I had to close it. But you will lose the money. So you get your nest egg, let's call it. You get your first chunk saved up. You don't touch that. That only goes to your living expenses every month. That's allowing you to go all in and do your non-negotiables for your business every day without worrying about how am I going to eat, how am I going to pay rent, how am I going to get gas and pay the phone bill, all of that. Now, you get that chunk and you get money for the business, whatever that is, and you grind. And a lot of people, including myself in the past, I start the business, I'm going all in, and I quit all my jobs. I buy whatever I need to. I start paying for whatever I need to start the business, and then nothing happens. I do a little bit of work every day, and it goes under. Well, I say that present tense, and it's past tense. In the past, I did that, and I came to regret it. And that brings me to the second point. You should have that saved up. You should have enough capital for your business saved up so that you don't touch your living expense money, and you truly have 6 months plus whatever you need to fund the business. And if you don't, I mean, you don't have to listen to me, but I'm someone that's failed a couple businesses. I learned these things the hard way. And the goal of this video is to tell you what not to do. Because if you can avoid these really expensive, really stupid mistakes, you'll be better off listening to me on what I did wrong than doing it wrong yourself and then paying the price. Like, let's say you blow through all your savings. You worked 5 years, saved all that money. Now I'm taking the bet on myself. You don't know what you're doing and you blow it all. And now you're back to square one, no money, no business. You quit the job because you went all in. I've done that a couple times. It sucks. My other suggestion, never, okay, I'm giving this advice to myself. Take it if you want. Never stop working. You have a job, you hate it, good. Every day you wake up and go to that job and you hate it, motivation. I better spend the 5 hours I have after work working on the business so that maybe in the next few months of I hate this job, I can leave this job on income that is equal to or greater than my job's income. What I'm proposing is you work 40 to 50 hours a week on your normal job that's in the rat race, and then you put in another 30 to 50 hours a week on the business. I like this for a couple reasons. Number one, keeps cash flow. Number two, you will adjust to this workload. And when you quit your job, the business will feel so much easier because you are working less hours, even if those hours are more than what you would have done in a normal job or more than you initially wanted to work. And two, you will have become accustomed to working so much that you can get ahead of the competition that you have that doesn't want to work that many hours, and you're already used to it. And I suggest you just keep your foot down on that pedal. Don't listen to me or do. Realistically, if you don't listen to me, that doesn't really affect my life. If you do listen to me, maybe that does, because maybe you come back and comment, hey, this advice helped, that's great. But you really got to pay attention to this. I've made this mistake multiple times, and I won't again, because in the moment it feels liberating. I quit the job, I'm working on the business, however many hours you are. My first business, I was working a lot. Second business, I had the experience I needed to work less, but I still should have worked more. And I should have done it alone instead of partnering with the individual that I did, because he dragged everything down into the dust until I had to close it, because I was not going to continue to work on it and start bringing in customers that were paying when he technically owned 50%. That's another thing. Honestly, partner with almost nobody. Unless they can do something you can't and you can do something they can't, and you both mutually respect each other and you know each other's work ethic for a fact, don't touch it. But that's not what this video is about. This is about making sure your money's right. You need to have, in conclusion, expenses for 6 months to a year, a whole chunk. Let's call it the 12 to 24K if your expenses are 2K a month. You don't touch that for anything but expenses. That covers your life and allows you to go all in on the business. You better have business capital too, because you need the money to make the money. Really, you got to pay for ads. You got to pay for, maybe you're going to do flyers on doors. You got to pay for equipment, maybe. You got to pay for software, possibly, probably. You've got to pay, maybe you do something wrong and have to refund a customer, or maybe you are doing home-based businesses and you mess up something and have to pay for customers X, Y, or Z. You probably have business insurance. You got a lot of stuff. Save up those two chunks if you're going to quit your job and go all in, and then make sure you actually do, because as you watch your money drain through all of your expenses, you're going to regret not working more in the beginning if you decide to kind of take a breather after you quit the job. I'm an entrepreneur now. I can work whenever I want. I have leverage. You could, but realistically, the most successful people, they started working young and they only worked more and more, and they never stopped. They just changed what they were doing. So they worked as hard or harder, the same amount of time, longer and longer. They just switched from something with low leverage to high leverage, employee to owner, whatever. And this way, you hedge the bets, because that's really what you want to do. Business is, how can I hedge the bets the best to still play out in my favor and still take the risk, but not as much risk as, like, less is better, obviously, in my opinion. But, take that or leave that. Or before I close out here, keep the job that you hate, what I'm currently doing. And you keep your cash flow coming in. Save as much as you can. Make sure you're actually putting time towards the business. Make sure that you aren't spending money. Like, let's say you spend $100 to $300 eating out in the month. What could that do on advertising for you? What's your ticket price? What's the expected revenue from X amount of customers that you get from X amount of ad spend? Okay, why would you spend it here eating food that's garbage for you when you could spend it here and make, 1 to 10K, whatever it is? That's my advice from someone who has had multiple businesses, had to close down or fail multiple businesses, have friends who are sub 25 and millionaires, connects to guys worth much more than that. So I hope you liked this, and if you made it this far, just comment your favorite part. I will see you guys in the next one.